Hello and welcome back to the On the Slab Horror Show, the horror show that we bring to you each and every Friday night. Why do we do this on a Friday night? Fans, you know why we do it on a Friday night, because Friday night is horror night. And for my guest here tonight, I'll give you a quick rundown as to why that is. On a Friday night after 10 o'clock, we used to get free to air horror movies. That's where we used to get to see all the ones on the telly. Got to see Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, all these bad boy movies come on the telly for free. Great times. That was what growing up in the
Nice.
90s and 2000s was.
Yeah.
But tonight, unfortunately, work and prior commitments again have taken the two boys away. So I'm flying solo on this one. But I'm joined by another fantastic guest and another man who is about to light up the horror world. This is writer and director Mike Pickle. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. It's good to have you on. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to come on.
Thank you.
I've been looking forward to this since I found the page for obviously the one we can see behind you there is the dead place,
Yeah.
kind of. Those luscious locks are blocking the word place, but it is the dead place.
Yeah.
But yeah, I found this, and when I went through your IMDb and stuff, I was like, yeah, this guy has to come on. It was just gonna happen. Um, but like, where we start? Tell me all things, Mike.
I'm actually a former musician. I was a musician for about 7 or 8 years before I got into filmmaking. And I got into filmmaking because of The Dead Place. This was back a long time ago, back in 2007, 2008. I visited a haunted asylum. It's supposed to be haunted. And me and my friend explored it. And then afterwards, uh, like the next morning, I woke up and there were demons in my bed, like screaming in my face. And I know I was awake, and my wife came in. She was worried because I was yelling, and I couldn't hear her over. There was voices all around my bed, and there were demons sitting in the bed with me. So it was such a traumatizing experience that it gave me this idea for the Dead Place. And then I wrote it, and it's actually a trilogy. It's actually just a huge story in three parts of three different themes, three different tones. So I wrote the script, and I fell in love with it so much, and I fell in love with the idea of filmmaking. So I just started making, just left my band and started making my own films. I made several short films, music videos. I had a TV show in 2019. It's called a Pickles Horror Show. It was a horror variety show. It's like a Saturday Night Live type of uh, show for horror fans. And we got about 4 million viewers in that first year in 2019.
Well,
So, so
that's
and
impressive.
so after getting all that viewers to the network, they didn't give us a dime. So we left there, and I was kind of lost. I kind of put everything, all my resources into that show, and didn't have anything to show for it. So I got kind of depressed for a while, and then I decided, you know what, I'm going to take the Dead Place. This is the time. I've uh, done a lot so far, and I've learned a lot, and I think it's finally time to do the Dead Place. So kind of got out of my depression and jumped into the Dead Place, and it's the rest is history. It's been going great ever since. The campaign, the Indiegogo campaign, was a huge success. We crushed our goal. We're up around $60,000 now. We got some more investors coming in, and we start filming next month, March 25th. So got a
Jeez,
great cast.
not long to go.
Yeah, and I told you before we started here that this is from when I got chosen by Shockfest. The script got chosen. So then I actually got with Steve Deering. He does script coverage for movies like John Wick. He did the John Wick movies, Hotel Artemis, a bunch of big movies. So I worked with
Well,
him on my TV. I worked with him on my TV show. So he said, you got a project we can jump into, and I showed him the Dead Place, and he went and done his detailed script coverage of it, and that's when it really came to life. That's when it became a script that I was proud of enough to ask these big stars to be involved. And that's what's gotten all the big names involved so far. Once they see the script, they're hooked.
see, like, the way you hear of certain people do things just for money, They'll sign on to movie after movie, don't care, could be the worst movie of all time. But when you see people signing on to an indie horror that's got a script, like, okay, the cast you have there that I've seen through IMDb and what I've seen on the page and whatnot is great, and there's some really good people in there. But the one that's going to stand out to absolutely everybody is what I've been referring to for the last 4 months as the hottest thing in horror right now, and obviously in David Howard Thornton. It seems to be he's crushing absolutely everything. But to get someone like that to a movie with just the script alone, it bodes extremely well for the script and what is to come from it.
Yeah, I was careful about it. I knew that I was a, you know, small fish in a big pond, so I knew he wasn't just going to accept right away. And as a filmmaker, I've learned that you can't just approach people and throw your script at them. You know, they get scripts thrown at them every day. So I
Absolutely.
kind of wrote him, and we interviewed him on my podcast, and we connected with him there. And I started talking to him here and there on Facebook, and then I brought up the role to him. It's the role of the new kid. It's this it's like a demon that shows up in a red hood, and he acts like he's the new kid in class, but he's actually a demon. And so I introduced the story to him and introduced the character to him, and I said, "Would you like to read the script?" And then once I gave him the script, he said, "Oh yeah," he said, I can get on board with this." So that was
I'm
after he
all
had
in.
done, yeah. So he had done Terrifier. So Terrifier had a huge cult following, but nothing like it is now. And then when we had him on the show and he started teasing different parts of Terrifier 2, I just had a feeling about it. I said, this is going to be next level. This is going to be huge. So I had a choice between, there was a couple choices I had to play this character. So I asked my producers, I said, which one of these should I choose? And they said, I think it's a no brainer. Go for David Howard Thornton because he's going to be the next hottest thing
Yeah,
in horror. And sure enough, Terrifier 2 came out and had that really impressive theater run. And it actually worked out where our campaign started around the same time as Terrifier 2 came out.
perfect.
So that was a happy coincidence for us because we had planned on starting in August, but it took me so long to get through to David, and then I had to convince David, and then I had to convince his agent. So it took so long we had to push it to October. So thanks to that, it came out around the time Terrifier 2. So everybody's like, he's already in another movie, and his agent is actually really excited because he's got an extensive theater background, and he's played the Joker in a popular fan film before, so he really came up as an animated theatrical type of guy, and then he becomes famous by being a mute clown. So she loves the idea that he's
Brilliant.
this character is much more talkative. This one's a real smartass. You know?
It's gonna be very, very strange considering, like, when you take his three major big roles at the minute in terms of acting, being Art the Clown in Terrifier 1 and 2, and then obviously he plays the mean one in the mean one. Again, very little word, so it's gonna be real weird to see him without a mask or extensive prosthetics or paintwork. Because obviously he's now becoming the man behind the paint, really, essentially.
Yeah,
But
and
like when you look at him as art, he absolutely steals the show without saying a word.
yeah,
So
and
giving him lines can only make it better.
yeah, he emotes so much through the makeup. So I could just imagine when if he doesn't have any makeup on.
Yeah.
And he's we're still going to get to put him in some makeup and prosthetics because what it is my experience in the bed with those when the demons appeared in my bed. I felt later on thinking back on it, I felt like these demons were being shown to me like the scariest thing I could possibly imagine. That's what was being shown to me deliberately. So I made his character like that, where he appears as a normal person, but then when he wants to frighten someone, he brings out his demonic image, which is the most frightening thing he could think of to frighten them. So actually, I did a drawing of him.
Oh shit!
That's what he's gonna kind of what he's gonna look like there.
Very
The
nice.
big long mouth.
I can't even
It's,
draw a straight line, and you can draw that.
but
Um,
we have Robert Bravo on makeup effects.
I seen
He's a
that
really
actually,
good
yeah,
makeup
on
effects
Facebook.
artist.
That's
So
it. That's another good pull. He's been in quite extensive around certain movies that I've seen.
yeah, and he's especially excited about this one because he sees it as a challenge because he watched Terrifier 2 and he's seen what Damien Leone did with his gore effects, and he was like, I'm gonna have the same. I'm gonna be doing gore effects with the same guy. So he said, I really need to step up my game and make sure it's not like lesser quality. So he's
Uh,
really working hard on the effects.
as well for Robert there, like he's working with David, right? Which is fine. So David obviously worked extensively with David Leon or Damien Leone. So he's gonna have picked up knowledge that he can pass on as well on how to do things.
True.
And I'm sure
And,
theoretically, say if he was got stuck somewhere with needing help, I'm sure he could be able to. Now I'm not saying he will, that he could ring Damien and be like, any chance you could explain on how to do this, or
well, actually,
not that people.
he already helped us out quite a bit. Damien did because we needed a whole life cast of David's head so we could make all these prosthetics with the mouth and everything. And our schedule's so tight, it was going to be really hard to do it when he got here. So we contacted Damien and asked him if he would send us his life cast so we could make a fake head, and he did. He sent it in the mail for us. We just got
Oh,
it last week.
top drawer.
Oh
I've
yeah,
heard look great things about Damien, a former guest and stuff that we had, Janine Pipe, who got to meet him and stuff. Said he was just amazing to talk to and whatnot. But again, that's a chat for a different day. This one's not about Damien. This one's about you, sir.
yeah,
Um, like going off some of the things you said there, like you can only look forward to this movie. And I'm intrigued to see how it goes. Like as I says already, seeing David without makeup is going to be different. It's the same way as of late now when you see Bill Skarsgård in
yeah.
movies. Like obviously you see him in Barbarian. He doesn't have any makeup on, but everyone always just puts him down to Pennywise. Now, me personally, I didn't think he was a good Pennywise. I thought it was well, he was, but the actual character itself wasn't good.
Uh,
Um, but you can see why horror movies are going. Get him in now,
yeah,
uh, and I can see things like this gonna happen probably for David now along the way as well. And obviously now you're giving him the chance to do it without makeup.
yeah,
And when this one's like, as you says, it made it to Shockfest Film Festival on a script. So
yeah.
it's
Like
obviously
I
a
said,
solid script.
yeah, like I said before, that was before this last rewrite, and I still got into the Shockfest Film Festival. But after this rewrite, like I said, that's when it became something
Perfect.
entirely different because Steve Deering is a real professional, and the notes he gave me just helped me bring the whole script to life. Just
Which,
little tweaks here and there.
but again, like as it says, you've wrote this movie, right? And um, to get help off someone so established, um, can only make you better.
Yeah,
I mean, like you could have in your mind what's a great script, but when it goes to camera, you could look at it going, maybe not. But like when
yeah,
someone else helps you with it, it can only make it better. Unless it's changed completely, like we've seen in certain movies like Creed 2 and stuff.
yeah.
Um,
And
but
and uh, and Steve and I had developed a bond throughout making my series because that was a real challenge because we had absolutely no budget, so we were just kind of coming up with ideas, writing them on the spot, and filming them.
nice.
So he's seen what I could do there. So he's like, this guy's really good with just coming up with things on the spot. I wonder how good he would be with a fully fleshed out feature.
Like I mean, 4 million views with no budget. It's fucking seriously impressive. So fair play to you on that. Now, as it says, I couldn't find it anywhere to uh to give it a watch. So
Yeah, we pulled it off the channel after our contract was up. We pulled it off the channel because they didn't give us a dime. So since then, we've just been like some of those shorts that I sent you, like extended scare package, it got accepted to Joe Bob Briggs Festival, Mutant Fest. That one was
Nice.
part of the show. That was one we just put together for the show, and it ended up being a solid enough short to get into festivals.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Like, as I said, the links and all, some of the links and all wouldn't work for me because it's telling me I had the wrong browser and stuff. But
Uh,
I'll certainly get to give them a watch, and if it's all right with you and thing, I might share some of them around, or if not, I won't.
yeah, you can share pretty much all of them. The only one that's kind of under wraps now is the pay up one. That's my next feature coming out. It's actually my first feature. It's coming out pretty soon from Scream Team releasing.
Oh yeah, no, that
So
one I know.
that one I'm just giving to press and stuff. So if you know anybody in press or anything like that, you can give it to them.
Grand. I know a few different podcasts if that's the way you want to go with it.
Okay.
And some of them have really big following in the states and stuff.
Yeah, because we haven't.
I'll put you in touch with Morris after the show, um,
Okay.
and see if you want to go with himself as well. He's a good guy.
Yeah, because we've been so swamped, so busy with the dead place, we haven't even done any marketing for pay up. So,
I'll certainly pop your details onto him and let him get in contact with you. Also, a big shout out to Morris on Cheap Heat Productions.
cool.
I recently done an episode for him with Matthew Patrick Davis, who was the mother in Barbarian.
Ah, okay.
Morris ended up being sick on the day, and I ended up having to go solo with that one.
Oh no.
But it was all right. It was great. Um, but like as you said, this is your baby of a movie. Do you know what I mean? But I want to rewind there to something you said. You woke up with demons on your bed,
Yeah.
like
You could see.
as in like
You could
almost
see.
tripping.
Yeah. So if you go onto the Dead Place Indiegogo page and you see there's a series of videos on top, and one of the videos is the origin story about how everything happened, and we animate the demons. And I worked with the artist to make the demons look pretty close to what they looked like that day on the bed. But the way I always tell people, I can only tell the story about what happened to me. I can't tell you what they were. I can't tell you whether they were actually demons. But to me, uh, it was either some kind of psychotic episode, some kind of delusion that I was having, or it was supernatural, and both are equally as scary to me. That my mind could conjure up something that frightening.
Like for your mind to like theoretically say it was a hallucination. For your mind to bring up something that it can terrify you to an extent is very disturbing.
Yeah, because they were they to me they were flesh and blood in the bed. I could see they had slime all over their faces, like dripping down, and they had like saliva coming out of their mouths and these big jagged teeth. And like I said, my wife came in there and sat in bed next to me, and she was talking to me. I looked at her. I said, "I can't hear you over the demons. They're screaming in my face." And
Well,
and it kept on, and it kept getting worse and worse and escalating. And my wife walked out of the room and got the Bible. And when she walked in with the Bible, everything stopped, and I haven't had anything like that happen since.
well, now, I wouldn't be a big religious person, but I'd say that might drive me to it.
Yeah.
You need to get yourself a demonologist in there.
I know, right?
Yeah. Um, I've like I don't even know where to go with that. Like I've done a couple of shows with um people that deal with the likes of ghosts and hauntings and stuff. Uh, a big shout out to Gina Linnell and the Occult Family. They were two of the previous guests that we had, and like listening to them talking about that's like they're talking about ghosts. This is something completely different. This is some exorcist shit right here.
Yeah.
Uh,
And actually, I wasn't going to say anything, but actually, there's a lot of stuff that's happened in my life, almost like a dark cloud over my head since then. And actually, nothing really good has happened in my life until the dead place. Because like I've had best friends die unexplained, unexplained. Uh, my mom died, and then when she was on her deathbed, I walked into the room in intensive care, and she screamed for me to get out of the room. She was scared to death. She insisted that people came to her and was showing her on the TV in the hospital about how I had brutally murdered all these people. And she said she's seen me doing it on the screen. And she started saying some of the same things that the voices were saying on the bed that day. So that
Wow.
was really frightening. And I went into, I think I said before, I went into a deep depression. I went through all kinds of things. I injured my back really bad. I have a permanent injury in my back where there's no cartilage in my between my spine, so the bones are like impacted together. But I've done so much stretching and fighting it over the years that I'm able to be still able to be mobile. So it's my life has been hell since that day.
I mean, like that did scare you to a point of that did scare people to a point of no return on its own. And like it's great to hear that. Obviously, not that you went into depression, but that you come out the other side. Because it's unfortunate that some people don't and they stay in that place. So it's great to see that, and now obviously, hopefully everything's going better for you now. And obviously, the the movies and keeping busy is gonna help with that.
Yeah, and it's stressful making this movie, of course, because it's my biggest project yet. But it's the stress type of stress I thrive on. It's not the hopeless stress that was weighing me down before.
Yeah, yeah, I get you. Yeah, like for you, this like when this gets made, like you might not make another movie. I'm not saying you won't, but at least you can say, well, I gave this everything I had. I mean,
Yeah,
I,
and
I I have a feeling the way
it's
that
that.
the story is given and the way the work you're putting into it, that it's going to be a success.
Thank you. And the reason why I did crowdfunding, the main reason why I did crowdfunding, is because it's a trilogy. So this first one is the only one out of the trilogy that's manageable with a low budget. So that's why I went into crowdfunding. I got the budget that way, and then I figured if I make it right, and if I impress these fans that donated to the first one, they're going to come along to the second one, and we're going to have the fans we accumulated from the first one to come along and kind of make the second one bigger, and then make the third one even bigger. So that's
So
that's my goal with it.
it's essentially the way Damien did with Terrifier
Yeah,
to an extent. I mean, it's not a bad template to follow, really, when you look at it. Like Terrifier 2 was 350 grand or something, and it boxed 11 and a
yeah,
half million. That's
yeah,
a pretty big success, if you ask me.
yeah.
Was
And
like
then
300,
Terrifier,
nearly 400 times its budget.
yeah, and that with crowdfunding with them too, and that's exactly what happened with them. They tripled and quadrupled their audience from part one to two because he impressed the fans with that first one.
But like I have a feeling that if this takes off the way it should, you should be laughing all the way or screaming all the
Yeah,
way, one or the other.
I I really had to fight on this one because like some of my producers were telling me, this isn't the way we do it in indie filmmaking. We don't get these big actors like this. We don't get out of town talent like this. We're too small. And I fought and I fought and I said, I know, I have faith that we're going to get enough budget to pay for this. This is the way it has to be because I did extensive casting, and I only wanted to pick ones that were perfect for the part. I didn't want to settle for anybody, so I got really strong actors, and some of them were halfway across the country, so I had to fly them over, including David. So they tell me, you're eating up too much of the budget. You're not supposed to do this on the indie film, and the budget's too low to make it SAG. But I still kept going forward with it.
I mean, it's your movie. I mean,
Yeah,
not theirs. It's yours. It's your name on the top of it.
yeah. So by luck or just by pure hard work, we actually reached our goal and went beyond that. So everything's looking pretty good so far.
Absolutely. And it's great to hear. Like I don't know, there's not much else we can really say about this because obviously nothing there that we can say physically that this has happened or this has happened on set, which is normally where we'd go. But what I'll do is I'll move on to your other film, which is going to be your first feature film, which you kindly sent me the screener to. I just unfortunately haven't had a chance to check it out yet. Called Pay Up. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I had always planned for The Dead Place to be my first feature, but this kind of fell into my lap. I was in the middle of doing the show. Uh, this guy, he was a professor at Yale University, and he had seen the show somehow. He had caught it, and he was looking for someone to write and direct. He was going to give the budget, and he was looking for someone to write and direct an idea he had. He had a seed of an idea, and somewhere along the line there was a miscommunication. He was telling me 40. He was telling me it was going to be 40 minutes. So I made like a 45 page script. But when I gave it to him, come to find out, he had wanted to do two short films with the same premise, and so mine was only supposed to be 20 minutes. I said, okay, let me get this script and let me rewrite it and get it down to 20 minutes. They said, no, no, I love the way you expanded on the story. Leave it like it is. And I said, well, will you give me more budget? And he said, no, I can only give you the same budget. So with $4,000, we ended up making a feature.
That's impressive.
And
I mean,
that's a that was
I
another.
mean, to cut down 45 minutes to 20 minutes, or try to, you're gonna take a lot of the story away,
Yeah.
which would be unfortunate. Um, and then like to be like, oh, leave it the way it is. Can I have more budget? No.
Yeah. So we're doing sometimes like 21 pages per day filming. We filmed the whole movie in like 5.5 days.
Yeah, sorry. I'm being inundated by small people here beside me. Sorry. They're supposed to be in bed. Sorry about that, folks. But I was listening to what you were saying there. But yeah, like I never understood that being like, this is your budget. Oh no, make it shorter and do it with that budget, and then make it longer and then be like, no, I'm not giving you any more of a budget. So 4 grand is seriously impressive to make a feature movie.
Thank you. So that 45 pages turned into a little over an hour, and we actually did it. And then when we finished it, my plan was, because it's kind of a exploitation type of movie because it has a really gory surgery scene in it. So it was really exploitation type of thing. So I knew it was going to be a good theater experience. So my plan was to finish it, put it out on a small theater run, and kind of go from there and go into festivals and release it. But that's when the pandemic hit. So that was
Oh,
another thing that added to my depression. I just had done this show and didn't get any money for it. So I jump into this feature, and then the pandemic happens and I can't release it. So that's when I got it into Shockfest and finally got some distributors. Well, actually, when I got my short film extended scare package into Joe Bob Briggs Festival, that's where we met the distributor who ended up picking up Pay Up.
nice,
So they
nice.
they picked
It's,
up Pay
it's
Up,
amazing.
and
It's amazing the little things that happen and it results in good things.
yeah,
Like you don't just say you don't get picked up into that film fest, you don't meet the distributor, and the movie doesn't come out, or it does, but it comes out under a different distributor. It might not got as good a deal or whatever.
yeah,
Like so, essentially, you said it was made. The pandemic hit, so theoretically, it's going to be a 2023 release.
yeah,
So you're going to have 2 movies this year, hopefully.
yeah, yeah. And it took so long to find a distributor too because of that surgery scene. Because what it is we could find distributors who distributed exploitation films, but they went for things that are more campy and more gory and crazy exploitation throughout. Where ours was mostly a character-driven piece with some comedy and stuff in it, and then it had that one really gory scene. So it's kind of it wasn't gory enough for the gore hounds, but it was too gory for everybody else. So the distributors are
that sweet spot in the
too
middle.
afraid of it. Yeah.
So like again, then like the way when I'm dealing now with indie directors, I'll always end up going back to Terrifier because of how successful it was. So you're saying it's got comedy, it's got one big scene. Again, you go back to Terrifier, it has some great comedy, and it has the first one has that scene, and like I don't need to say anymore. If you've seen Terrifier one, you know what that scene is. Um, and obviously then Terrifier two is the same, bit longer, but it has that scene. Hostel had
Yeah.
10 of them scenes when it wasn't needed.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you do it right, and you get obviously Damien done it with Terrifier with the hacksaw, and then the bedroom scene in two. Do you know what I mean? So when you have it done perfectly in one shot, well not one shot, but in one outgoing scene for the movie, it's enough. You don't need to do it every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So like for me, things like that, like I think indie horror had such it wasn't even a bad rep, but it's such an underrated rep where no one wanted to give anything a chance.
Yeah.
Um, for that, and then the likes of Terrifier, the main one. Um, Smile was another indie horror that came out and broke big. Um, there was another one that I can't remember what it was. The back end of last year it came out, and then obviously we have that new one that's kind of Marink, but I didn't watch that either.
Yeah.
Uh, but like for you to do that story and then put that one scene in that's shocking people that don't want it or that don't overly watch horror, but then you have people that are gorehounds that find it not enough. You're like, so I've done it right all around.
Yeah. And it actually made it harder to film too, because I couldn't find a cameraman for it. Because I'd find a cameraman who liked the story and the premise and stuff, but then when you get to reading that scene, he's like, it just goes a little too far. It just goes a little beyond what I'm comfortable with.
I mean, like I've watched a lot of films. I've watched the Serbian film and things, so I'm pretty all right with it. Like for me, I'll watch sit and watch terror. Like one of the worst scenes I seen was I don't know whether you've seen the French film Martyrs,
Oh yeah,
the filleting scene in that.
yes,
Like everyone was like, ugh. And I was like, it's bad, but I've seen worse. Do you know what
yeah,
I mean? We then obviously had Terrifier 2's destruction of a bedroom scene. And I know a few people that are big horror fans and they watched that and they was like, that was too much. And I was like, no, that was pretty spot on.
yeah,
So I'm intrigued now to see where you go with this. Like I'll sit down and watch it over the next couple of days, and then I'll get back to you and let you know. Which is unfortunate, really, because on the show, normally when we have directors on, I've seen parts that they've done, and
mm,
unfortunately, like it wasn't even unfortunately. Like this episode, we were only in contact probably last week, and it just
yeah,
kind of came up, and then obviously working stuff along in the way, so I didn't get a chance to sit down and watch it. Um, so it's kind of unfair for me to say to you, oh yeah, well I'd give it this rating out of five. So I can't unfortunately give you a rating out of it.
yeah,
Um, because what we normally like to do is when I sit down with the director, I'll tell them what I liked, what I didn't like. Again, can't do that. We have a slab rating system. So out of five slabs is what we'd rate it out of. Obviously, some people use stars and stuff. So
mm,
thing. But I spoke to you just before we came on, right? Just a quick off topic. Myself and Carl have this on running debate, right? It's about werewolf
okay,
movies, right?
okay,
You've seen Dog Soldiers.
yes,
You've seen American Werewolf in London.
yes.
Which one's better?
Ah,
I told you
I
we go off
can't.
topic here.
Yeah, I can't really say which one's better. I can say which one I prefer is Dog Soldiers.
My man. Yeah.
It just
Um,
the characters, they're so vividly portrayed. Like you feel like you know every single one of those characters. None of them are like each other.
mm,
They're each their own individuals. I love the twists in it. The werewolves look amazing. I think the werewolves and dog soldiers look better than the one in American Werewolf in London.
I think it's a different
Yeah,
werewolf. Um, like I think werewolves should be on two legs. I've spoke to a few people, and there's an episode that came out a couple of weeks ago with Neil Marshall, who obviously directed Dog Soldiers. Um, so obviously he was telling us he wanted his on two legs and smart, working in packs. Where my gripe, it's not even a gripe, it's more of a the thing that marks down just slightly for me with American Werewolf is how quick it ends. So like the love story to him being killed at the end, and I'm not calling that a spoiler warning because it came out in the 80s. If you haven't
yeah,
seen it and you're going to complain about it, fuck off. Um, it's just a little bit too rushed for me.
yeah.
The Kessler Wolf is a bit too small.
Uh,
Like it's causing all this havoc, and it's probably no bigger than what you'd say maybe a lion, maybe. Okay, I
yeah,
know a lion can cause havoc, but like it's supposed to be this vicious beast that's tearing it tore cinema apart. I
yeah.
mean, but that's
And then
just me. Not that it's a
and
bad
then
movie. Like,
yeah, then
go
you
ahead.
got dog soldiers. Dog soldiers has these huge werewolves with this really scary physique,
Yeah.
and they're running in packs, so it's much more of a threat.
And you know what? I like we were talking to Neil, on his insight, and he was like, I wanted them to be that tall that they had to stoop when they came into the house, so they're standing like this, and I'm like, yeah, it's extremely creepy.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I don't get me wrong, that conversation there made it sound like I don't like American Werewolf. American Werewolf will be number two on my list. Just we've got onto this debate and we've started asking guests as to which one is better.
Well, actually, my favorite werewolf film is Ginger Snaps.
Oh, nice, nice. It's
I
good.
love Ginger Snaps and Ginger Snaps 2. I love those two movies.
Do you know what? I've only ever seen the second one once, and I don't even remember it. Um, I'll tell you what though. I said to you off camera, Viking Wolf. That's
Yeah, I need to
that's
see
right up
that
there.
one.
Now, it's very much like American Werewolf in terms of the wolf is on four legs. It's a wolf more so than a werewolf, but it is vicious.
And do you agree that there's not enough great werewolf films?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Because
This comes up all the time on the show.
yeah,
There's not at best. I'd say there's maybe seven
yeah,
really good ones at best. Maybe 10 at push.
yeah.
Like if I think off the top of my head, I'd go Dog Soldiers, American Werewolf, The Howling, Ginger Snaps, Company of Wolves,
Silver Bullet.
Vi- Silver Bullet, Viking Wolf. There's
Oh yeah, yeah.
seven.
You said Howling, huh?
Yeah, that's seven that I can think off the top of my head.
Yeah, but
Maybe
look,
if I had to, I'd go Del Toro's Wolfman in
uh,
2010. Wasn't bad. Bit CGI'd, but wasn't bad. And then obviously you have the Universal Monsters Wolfman,
yeah.
and then Carry On Screaming. No, no, sorry, not Carry On Screaming. Oh, what the yeah, Carry On Screaming, yeah. And then you can have Monster Squad that have werewolves in them, but it's not entirely based around werewolves.
Yeah,
But
but
there's not enough.
you have vampires everywhere, zombies everywhere, but not many werewolves.
Yeah, like again, as I says in the Neil Marshall, this is something we brought up as to why, and he says it, he thinks it's along them lines of because it's so hard to do.
Yeah.
Like, if you get the transformation scene wrong, movie's fucked.
Yeah.
If the werewolf doesn't look good, movie's fucked. Do you know what I mean? Like, he knew himself. Like, he said it. He said it on the episode. He says, if you can't do the transformation, don't do it. That's why you don't see it in Dog Soldiers. Like,
Yeah.
for him, imagine him trying to do that in Dog Soldiers without,
Oh
say,
no.
having Rick Baker there, who done
Yeah.
American Werewolf, and that was phenomenal. And it still remains the best transformation scene.
Well, look at the late phases. Have you seen that one?
Late phase. Someone actually told me about this. I haven't seen this. I hadn't even heard of it.
It's actually a good, solid movie. It's about this old man in a nursing home that ends up going against these werewolves. But
Who the
it's
fuck
a
told
good
me about that?
it's a good story, good acting, well made, and then the werewolves show up and they look like giant rats. Just completely
Some,
turned me off.
there was a guest that I had on not so long ago that actually told me about it,
Uh,
and I can't remember who it was. I'll have to go back and listen to it. I have a vague idea of where the episode came from. It's one of the Mutilator 2 cast that I had
mm,
on that told me about it. But yeah, I've been meaning to check it out. Um, but yeah, no, I'd heard that was good. But as I said, the transformation scene that they did in American Werewolf was phenomenal with Rick Baker. But what
mm.
I suggest is it's now whatever time it is for you there on a Saturday when we record this. Go watch Viking Wolf this evening,
I will.
and wait and you see the transformation scene in this.
Great. All practical?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Great.
You can't be practical though, can you?
Yeah.
It's
Because
it's
I
just
don't
not an
like
option.
CG werewolves are, oh, they're just a turn off.
Yeah, see, I think that was one of the main issues I had with Cursed, which was the Wes Craven one.
Ah,
Like, good movie, good story. Werewolf, terrible.
yeah, I think they did Wes Craven dirty on that one. The producers did because he had
They
Rick Baker in there. Rick Baker already had the werewolf and everything. They had some of the scenes filmed, and the producers came in and said, "Oh, we don't like the way the practical effects look. Just we're going to do it CGI." And
Yeah.
they just took out all of Rick Baker's effects. That was a big mistake.
Rick Baker should have just walked over and went.
Yeah, exactly.
And unfortunately for Craven, it was the last creature feature that he did. Really,
Yeah.
it was one of the only creature features he did. Really, actually.
And that ending too, that they had him rewrite the script, almost 90 pages they had to rewrite. And then they told him they wanted to change the end so it'd be like Scream, where the boyfriend was the killer. And he said, "But it doesn't make any sense to the movie." I said, "We don't care. We want it in there."
Yeah, you're Wes Craven. You wrote Scream. Yeah, I did in 1996.
Yeah.
We're now 10 years later, pal. Get
Yeah.
over it. It's a different
Exactly.
movie. It was just like it was just a muddled film with production
It was.
hell.
Yeah.
And I felt like Craven was done real dirty. Christina Ricci was done real dirty on it.
Yeah.
It was Christina Ricci, wasn't it? Was it Renata
Yeah.
Ryder? No, Ricci, yeah.
Richie.
Um, unfortunately. But this was a question that was posed to me a couple of weeks ago, right? So I brought up the werewolf one, right?
Yeah.
And I brought it up with the lads that done Slaughter Beach from Clockout Films. Um, and it got posed to me, what's your favorite vampire movie? I'm gonna start doing this now.
Mm,
Big shout out to the lads from
that's a
Clockout
hard one.
Films and Slaughter Beach.
That's a hard one. So I'm just going to go ahead and go with the first one that came to my head, 30 Days a Night.
My man, that was my pick.
Oh, yeah? Nice.
That was my pick. They're proper fucking gnarly vampires, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. They're
Oh yeah, proper
vicious,
fucking.
and some of the dialogue of that main vampire just sends chills up your spine. And that
Where,
my
where?
that's my favorite.
Please God, where is God?
Yeah, no God.
Deadly.
and that and that's my favorite decapitation scene of any movie. when they chopped that guy's his friend's head off, the guy that was turning into a werewolf. So Josh
Oh
Hartnett had
yeah,
to chop his head off. Three chops, and they showed every chop on screen. I love that.
yeah. Hack them to bits.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I might go and watch that tonight actually. Um, but this is the wind down time now. Obviously, we've gone through the two feature movies that we're waiting on, which are gonna be electric.
Thank you.
Um, so maybe when sort of one drops properly, maybe you'll get you back on when pay up comes out, and we can promote it a bit more for you.
That'd be
And
great.
then later on in the year, then when Dead Space comes on, whether you're even filming it or when it's finished, you can get back to us again, and we'll go from there.
Okay, and then I'll be doing my first convention appearance in May. So from May 12th through the 14th, I'll be at Rocky Mountain Nightmares in Colorado. So it'll be me and the star of the movie, Idris Belu. He plays Isaac in The Dead Place, and then David Howard Thornton's going to be there right next to us.
Is it for Dead Place, or is it just David Howard Thornton being David Howard Thornton,
Well, they're
or
kind
both?
of they're putting David Howard Thornton there with the Terrifier people, and then they're putting us, the Dead Place booth, right next to him. So all of us from the Dead Place will be right there
That,
together.
that's brilliant marketing as well. Um,
Yeah, and we'll have some, probably hopefully some clips from the movie and posters and stuff like that.
I mean, if there's an old signed poster going when it's finished, you can send one my way if you want.
All right,
Get a cast and crew poster out to me.
sure.
Sorry, that was a bit cheeky, but I couldn't turn down that opportunity. Because what I'm gonna start doing is see the wall behind me here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get whatever guests I have, and I'm gonna get posters put up on it, so it doesn't look quite as bare.
Okay.
um, so yeah, it's always nice to get something signed. You know, that kind of way. Like
Yeah.
the rest of the lads all collect action figures and stuff.
Uh,
Um, now I have one. Now, would you be a big John Carpenter fan?
oh, I love John Carpenter.
Right, you might appreciate this. This is the only action figure I've got, and I'm that proud of it. Tombstone Ted got it for me for my birthday back in December. Right, wait and see this. This is one of the coolest pieces I've ever seen. Have a look at that.
Oh wow, look at that. That's awesome.
Fucking love Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
It is. It's a great movie. My favorite Carpenter movie.
Oh yeah,
Yep. Everyone would be like Halloween, this, that, and the other. No, Big Trouble. It's one of my
mine's
all-time
in the
favorite
mouth.
movies.
Mine's In the Mouth of Madness.
It's another quality. That man's just a machine, isn't he?
Yeah,
Like he's like I always used to be a Craven's better guy until I watched the body of work that both of them had, and uh, as good as Craven is, it's still no comparison to Carpenter.
I agree.
Uh, and like They Live is still 20 years ahead of its time, even now.
Yeah, got it. They
So
live sure.
yeah, I noticed that. It's fucking awesome. All it needs is the word obey on it.
There you go.
But yeah, like I want to take the time to out now at the minute to thank you for coming on the show, and promoting obviously your two movies, and sitting down to take the time and have a chat with me, as we
Thanks
always
for
love
having me
having
on.
guests on. Absolutely. Anytime you ever want to come back, whether it be to come on and talk about a movie or a project you're doing, or you want to just come back and shoot the shit about horror in general, absolutely anytime.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. And sometimes we find when guests come back a second time, it's a lot easier for them because not even that it's hard to do the show, but it's different because you don't actually have to go in and be like, oh, well, this happened or this happened. I'm doing this and that. Where you can just come in and let's go. Like, right, fuck it, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as I says, anytime you want to ever come back, or as soon as you have anything coming out or stuff, send it to us and we'll share it out for you as well on the socials.
All right.
Um, because now you're
Appreciate it.
stuck with us. Now you're stuck with us going with this going with this movie. Like as I says, I've had quite a lot of the mutilator cast. I've gone through 10 of them. Um,
Nice.
so once we kind of attach ourselves to a movie and stuff, we'll do what we can for them.
Oh, that's great.
So you get some free advertisement over in Europe anyway.
Awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, again, want to appreciate your time coming on tonight. And I'm gonna finish this the way I finish every other Friday. But before I do that, have you anything else to plug apart from the convention and the two movies?
That's it. That's my whole life right now.
I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad. But okay then, I will finish this the way I finish every Friday night. In the words of the great George A. Romero, ladies and gentlemen, stay scared.